this bill would allow parents who are unhappy with their COVID-19 policies at their schools to use a voucher to send their kids to the school of choice.
It's all about parental choice. A bill proposed by Representative Michael Curcio and Senator Mike Bell would create vouchers for students in districts where they weren't offered 180 days in class due to the pandemic or where a mask mandate was imposed.
When we see that policy then impacting somebody's ability to make a living, somebody's ability, to provide for their family because they've got a child that's been at home for, 180 days.
Curcio emphasizes these families should have the right to change school districts, but other groups argue vouchers pull money away from public schools.
The teachers union, let's say, we're a little bit concerned because they're saying that it takes money away from the teachers and the education system. What do you have to say about that?
Yeah, I just don't agree. Number one, the way the ESA legislation was crafted originally, and all this does is changes the eligibility requirements. It's paid for, it's funded. The money's been sitting on the state's balance sheet now for years.
Curcio says this money just goes unused, so parents should have a right, regardless of their economic status, to send their children to a private school. But J.C. Bowman, Executive Director of Professional Educators of Tennessee, says private schools can have very strict COVID policies.
Private schools can inflict or put in their own policies in place, which may be even more stringent than public schools. So, again, you're creating a solution that doesn't have a problem.
But Curcio believes it's critical for families to have equal opportunities.
You can only stand on your head for so long trying to get childcare and so on and so forth, just to give them the option to be able to say, okay, I've got to get out of this situation and get myself into a different situation,
while also being able to afford the education.
The Tennessee Supreme Court will rehear arguments over Governor Lee's school voucher program on February 24th, which would give more access to students to private schools.
State Tennessee representative is finally in a new office after spending last year stuck in a space similar to the size of a closet. Here's a look at the new office. Take a look compared to the old one.
State Representative Gloria Johnson says she ended up in that tiny office with no window due to petty politics, while a regular office sat empty right across the hall.
Fox 17 News' Jackie Del Pilar has spent months on this story. She is joining us live downtown with what it finally took for Representative Johnson to get this new space. Jackie, what can you tell us?
All of those offices are in this building right beside me here. Representative Johnson says she spent a year asking to be moved into one of the proper member offices, just like every other member of the Tennessee House. But it wasn't until a new conflict came up, a potential violation of federal ADA laws, that they finally moved her. A new office for Representative Gloria Johnson. Johnson is now moved into a full-sized office just in time for the new legislative session. Johnson spent a year in this space, a small conference room converted into an office.
It's important that House District 13 has what everybody else in the state has.
Offices are assigned by House Speaker Cameron Sexton, and Johnson says she was placed here because of political disagreements between her and the Speaker. She requested to move offices again in November, as she now uses a scooter for mobility. A recent diagnosis of a muscular disease makes it difficult for her to walk long distances, and her office couldn't accommodate her needs with her disability.
You really couldn't have gotten in without running into everything, and you certainly couldn't store it there. And I had been told before you can't put anything in the hallway, so I was pretty much stuck on what to do.
I reached out to the Speaker's office to find out why it took a year and a possible ADA compliance concern for Johnson to finally move offices. I first contacted him on this issue on June 28th, again on June 29th. Then on July 8th, 13th, 14th, and 20th, again on August 16th and 17th, and I tried again today.
This is Jackie calling from Fox 17 News.
Again, no reply.
Do you think putting that pressure on and keeping it in the public eye had an influence?
Absolutely. And that's the thing that I think is so important. A lot of people give the media a bad rap. But if we're not putting pressure on those at the top and those with the power, then it will run unchecked.
Johnson says she's glad she finally has the equal resources of her colleagues and is ready to get to work. Now, as for that empty office space, the one that she just moved out of, no word yet on if anyone's going to be moving into it or what's to come of that space. A public records request I filed this summer showed the state spent more than $7,000 to convert that into an office, all while that empty office sat right across the hall.
And criticism of what some feel like is a catch and release program for offenders living in Nashville homeless camps. Fox 17 News has shown you drugs and needles inside the Brookmeade Park in West Nashville, which has been taken over by the homeless. Tonight, Fox 17 News' Amanda Chen's live in West Nashville after pressing Metro District Attorney Glenn Funk for answers about what his office is doing about the criminal element within these camps.
The district attorney tells me he's seen the conditions inside Brookmeade Park, and while he understands people's frustrations, he wants to make sure they don't incarcerate their way out of a problem. Drugs, needles, and trash continue to be an issue inside Brookmeade Park, one of the largest homeless encampments in Nashville.
In many of these homeless camps around town, there is some rampant drug use, right? Nothing is sadder than somebody who is in poverty and is also addicted.
Community members like homeless advocate Lou Wilbanks have expressed frustration with drug dealers getting arrested, but then being let back out onto the streets. DA Funk says his office has invested in a behavioral care center for folks, including those in homeless encampments.
They leave with housing. They leave with 30-day supply of meds in their pocket. They have a 30, 60, and 90-day report date back to the mental health co-op.
But Wilbanks says she continues to see people get back out without getting this treatment. DA Funk says his office has tracked the graduates from that center for the past 15 months and says his office has seen a 4% repeat offender rate.
Do you think the city has enough resources right now in order to sustain this and what you're trying to do along with others?
Right. We do have the resources to sustain the programs that we have already put in place, right? We are working to find best practices from around the country, and then my push is going to be fully fund public safety.
This homeless encampment has been an issue for years now, and I know that you started the behavioral care center 15 months ago. Do you think more should have, been done earlier, as this camp has been here for years now?
I'm always frustrated because I would like to have solved this problem yesterday or years ago. What's important is that we now have a group of city leaders who are dedicated to recognizing the problem.
The district attorney tells me he has a meeting tomorrow with the mayor's office to discuss homelessness. He says he has every confidence his fellow leaders will get something done.